morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at the FAQ for Chilling Reign. Yeah, that's right. Chilling Reign isn't quite out yet. We've got kind of just under 2 weeks until it officially drops. But pre-releases have happened, and the lovely folks over at Pokegym, as they tend to do, have gone and published the official FAQ. And these are official rulings that will be used in tournaments, etc. And quite frankly, if you're going to be playing the Pokemon trading card game in the near future while Chilling Reign is legal, to put it bluntly, you're going to need to know these rulings. So we'll start off, as we tend to do, with abilities, with Keklian's Chroma Shift. Now, this is the rather lovely ability that says, essentially, it is the same type as all basic energy attached to it. So if it has no energy attached, and I attach psychic energy when Old Cemetery is in play, do I take the damage counters? For those that may have forgotten, Old Cemetery is a stadium card that says when you attach an energy to a non-psychic Pokemon, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So do I attach the energy and Keklian is psychic? I avoid the damage counters, or do I take the damage counters because it's not psychic until I attach? Unfortunately, you do take the damage. Essentially, you attach energy. Oh, I've attached energy to a non-psychic Pokemon, take the damage, and then Keklian is psychic. So the next time you attach, you good. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, when you attach to Keklian, you will be taking you'll be taking the damage. And that's a little bit sad. But hey-ho, you can't win them all, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Lipard V is a Pokemon that I like quite a bit. It's got the ability Hidden Claw, and it says, once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand onto the bench, you may discard a Pokemon tool attached to a Pokemon in play. Well, what about if Path to the Peak is in play? Path to the Peak is that stadium card that turns off the abilities of any Pokemon that has a rule box. Well, no. Because Lipard V is a Pokemon V, has a rule box. So when you play this, Path to the Peak will stop this ability working. Sorry. Essentially, the ruling is, by the time you use the ability, Lipard V is considered in play, so Path to the Peak will stop it working. Now, Gengar's got a nice little ability coming in here, Last Gift. And it says that when this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, search your deck for any 2 cards and put them into your hand. Well, can I choose to search my deck for 0 cards? I.e., if you've only got, say, 2 cards left in your deck, you don't want to empty your deck. Nope, you've got to get at least 1. The search is not optional. It does not say you may, it just says to search. So you've got to take at least 1 card if you're able to, which is going to be a very rare occurrence, but if you've only got, say, 1 card left in your deck, and you have to take it when Gengar's knocked out, then instead of having 1 more turn to try and win the game, you will actually deck out because you've got an empty deck, which is, well, it's a knock against Gengar, I think it's fair to say. Now, Galerion Slowking is coming around in this particular set, and it's got an ability, Mysterious Potion. Now, this is an ability that says, once during your turn, you may choose one of your Pokemon and flip a coin. If heads, heal 90 damage from it. If tails, put 3 damage counters on it. So the question is, can I use it on a Pokemon that isn't damaged? And the answer is yes, absolutely. If you flip heads, you go to heal 90, there's nothing to heal, you're fine. If you flip tails, you put 3 damage counters on. And you might think, well, why would you want to do that? But remember, there are a million Pokemon out there, like Phanpy, that attack and do damage based on how many damage counters are on them. So, put simply, yes, for Pokemon like Phanpy, you absolutely would want to do this. I don't know if you would play Galarian Slowking in a Phanpy deck, but it's an option. Now, Throwing Coach is Persimmion's new ability, and this is one that I like very much indeed. Remember, this was one of the pre-release promos. And it basically says that you do 30 more damage, all your Rapid Strike Pokemon do, to benched Pokemon Vs and GXs. Cool. Well, does the ability work if my active Pokemon's attack doesn't do any damage to the bench? No. I.e., it doesn't let you always do 30 damage to the bench, even if you're only hitting the active. This is a long-standing rule in Pokemon, whereby in order to add damage, you must be doing some damage to begin with. You cannot add to nothing. So, unfortunately, if you want to do extra damage to the bench, you can. But in order to do that, you've got to be doing some damage to the bench to begin with. Now, Underworld Door is Shadow Rider Calyrex's ability, a rather phenomenal one, that says once during your turn, you may attach a psychic energy to one of your bent psychic Pokemon and draw 2 cards. Do I have to draw 2 cards? And the answer is yes. Once again, we got the same ruling as before. It doesn't say you may. It just says draw 2 cards. So you have to draw 2 cards. The only exception to this is that if you've only got 1 card left in your deck, you only have to draw 1. And of course, if you have an empty deck, you don't have to draw for the obvious reasons. If you want to attach an energy with Shadow Rider Calyrex, you've got to draw the cards. Can I use it if there are no cards left in my deck to draw from? Absolutely. Just like I said a moment ago, you've still got a deck, it's just that you happen to have a deck of 0 cards. So you attach an energy, you go to draw, there are no cards to draw, but you can still use it. To put it simply, attaching the energy is not dependent on drawing the cards. However, remember that drawing the cards is dependent on drawing the energy. That is pretty obvious from the wording of the card. So moving over into looking at some attacks, then there is a Blissey coming in this particular set. And this is one that I am cautiously optimistic about. It's got the attack Blissful Blast, and it reads, this attack does 30 more damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon, does 10 damage base, and then you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. Okay. Well, how about on my opponent's last turn, they flipped heads for Diglett's Dig Attack. Diglett's Dig Attack is one of those ones whereby you flip a coin, and if heads the following turn, your opponent essentially won't do any damage. It gives them immunity on a coin flip. It's Diglett, right? Diglett does these kind of things. Diglett gone dig. Do you still get to attach the energy using Blissey V, even though you wouldn't be able to do any damage because Diglett dug? No. Since Blissful Blast did not damage because of Dig, you cannot get any energy cards from the discard pile. So if you don't do any damage, you don't get to get the energy, which is a little bit sad, and hey, maybe we should all be playing Diglett now. Now, there is a new Zeb Striker coming in this particular set, and this is a Rapid Strike Pokemon. It's one I like very much indeed. It's got the attack Coordinated Bolt, and for 1 energy it does 30 damage, but if any of your Rapid Strike Pokemon use an attack during your previous turn, it does 90 more damage. Okay, well, it has to be one of your other Rapid Strike Pokemon, so if I attacked with Blitzel and then evolved into Zeb Striker, do I still get to do the extra damage? And the answer is yes. Zeb Striker isn't the Pokemon that attacked last turn. Blitzel was another Rapid Strike Pokemon that attacked last turn, so you do get the extra damage with Zeb Striker. Well, how about if I use Zeb Striker to attack, but then next turn use a different Zeb Striker, i.e. I'm just chaining Zeb Striker, can I always just do 120 for 1 energy as long as I'm swapping Zeb Strikers? And the answer is yes, because each of those Zeb Strikers is a different Rapid Strike Pokemon. So you're absolutely fine. Might be something we even try and do. Seems like it might be fun. Now Zero Aura's got the rather lovely Cross Fist attack. If any of your other Rapid Strike Pokemon use an attack during your last turn, you don't just do 100, you also do 160 to one of your opponent's bench. Yes, obviously it is very, very similar to Zeb Striker. If I used Zero Aura one turn, and then use a different Zero Aura the next turn, i.e. I'm just chaining 0 aura like we just said about with Zeb Striker, do I still do the extra damage? Yes, absolutely you do, because they are different Rapid Strike Pokemon. Now, Spiritomb's got the rather nice Ghostly Cry attack. For each Pokemon in your opponent's discard pile, put 1 damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Then your opponent shuffles all Pokemon from their discard pile back into their deck. Okay. Well, what if you KO a Pokemon using this attack? Does that one get shuffled into their deck straight away? And the answer is no. Essentially, you resolve the attack, and then you resolve the knockout. So first you place the damage counters, then you shuffle any Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile into their deck, and then you look for and resolve any knockouts. And this, of course, could be very relevant. Your opponent might want that Pokemon back into their deck so they can get it back. Well, gutted, ladies and gentlemen. Gutted. By a similar notion, can you over KO? Can you put more damage counters on than you need to get a KO? And the answer to this is yes. This has always been the case. A Pokemon can have extra damage on. Essentially, you place all the damage counters, and then you check for a KO. You don't KO in the middle of the attack. First, you place the damage counters and resolve anything else, and then you actually check to see if a KO has happened or not. Now, Baynet is coming along in this set, and it's got an attack that looks pretty familiar from an old Frostlass. It lets you put up to 7 damage counters on this Pokemon, dealing 20 damage for each damage counter you placed in this way. And we've seen this ruling before, and it's very similar to the previous one. Can you put more damage counters on Baynet than it has remaining HP? And the answer is yes, you can. Because remember, we resolve the attack, then we check for knockouts. And this is one that always is memorable for me, because it actually came around initially from a Mamoswine. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Mamoswine ruling. Depressingly, we've talked many times about this ruling, and yet this is the most recent Mamoswine we've had. But this one from Crimson Invasion, you can put up to 9 damage counters on this Pokemon, dealing 10 more damage for each damage counter you placed in this way. This is just the way it works. You place all the damage, then you check for knockouts, and this is of course very relevant, because Baynet has 80 HP, and can place up to 7 damage counters, so if your opponent isn't able to do any damage, you can then place 7 damage counters the next turn, even if you've only just placed 7. This is actually pretty gosh darned relevant. Now, Galerion Slowking V has the attack Word of Ruin. For 2 energy, at the end of your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon will be knocked out. Well, is my opponent's Pokemon still knocked out if they retreat during their next turn? Unfortunately not. It is an effect on the defending Pokemon, which is removed if they're no longer active, as all effects tend to be, which of course makes it far, far less good of an attack, because it means that you can get around it very easily. Both players have 1 prize card left. Player A uses Galerion Slowking V's Word of Ruin attack. Player B attacks Galerion Slowking V with enough damage to KO it, and then obviously gets KO'd by Word of Ruin. What happens? Player B wins, because the KO from Player B's attack happens before the end of their turn, and Word of Ruin will take the KO at the end of the turn, but we don't get to the end of the turn because the game has already ended. Player B has already won. Happy if you're Player B, maybe slightly less happy if you're not. Now, moving on to trainer cards, we are getting Flannery in this particular set. First proper Flannery card we've ever had. Lets you choose a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon and a stadium card in play and discard them. Can you use this if your opponent doesn't have a stadium or doesn't have a special energy? Absolutely. As long as there is one thing to discard, you may play this. However, you cannot play it if there is neither special energy nor stadium to discard, and it is not optional. So if there is a stadium and a special energy, but you only want to get rid of the special energy, let's say it's a stadium you're using, Well, unfortunately, that doesn't work. It's all or nothing. Now, Peony is a very interesting new card. Lets you choose up to 3 of your prize cards and put them into your hand, and then choose the same number of cards from your hand and add them to your prize cards face down. Do I get to look at the prize cards I'm drawing before I choose them? No. Unless they're already face up, obviously. You are choosing 3 face down prize cards. They are face down. You don't look at them. If I choose to take a face up prize card, do I have to put its replacement down face up? No, because the card specifically says add them to your prize cards face down. Sure, you might have flipped them over previously, but you flipped over the other cards. These ones are put face down. Can I play Peonia if there are no other cards in my hand? I mean, you can, but remember with Peonia, you pick up the cards and then you put cards down from your hand. So if you play Peonia and you've got no cards in hand, you pick up 3 prize cards and then have to put them straight back down. It would be a little broken if you could actually draw prize cards doing this. There is, however, still an advantage, remember, because you're still looking at the 3 prize cards, and when you're putting them face down, you'll know where you put them, because you know which cards you're putting down. You put them down where you like in terms of how they're arranged, so you will know which ones are where. It's not great, but it's better than nothing. Oh, speaking of which, when using Peonia, do I have to randomize my prize card before putting them back? No. Again, this is a classic read the card scenario. It doesn't say randomize them and put them down. It just says put them down. We've seen effects kind of like this before. One of the big advantages of using Peonia is that you can actually put 3 cards from your hand as prize cards, and you know where they are. Do cards I take from Peonia count as prize cards for effects that count how many prize cards you've taken? No, because you're not taking prize cards. You are essentially picking them up and replacing them. And probably the biggest, most impactful rulings are actually ones we've previously seen, because they were previously made over in Japan. They are just now official for us. And it's all to do with Houndoom's single strike raw ability and that new impact energy card. And the question is, as it was before, Houndoom lets you search for a single strike energy in your deck and then attach it to one of your single strike Pokemon. Can you grab an impact energy, which is a single strike energy, or does it have to be the card that is specifically called single strike energy? There was some confusion about this going around on Twitter, but the rule was made in Japan, and look, if they make a ruling in Japan, it's going to come over here the same, and it has. Single Strike Raw targets the card called Single Strike Energy, not any energy card which is a single strike card as well. I am led to believe by the lovely Antoine Boulet, who knows this kind of stuff, that the wording of the card in Japan actually makes this a lot clearer than the English wording of the card. Along the same lines, can you use Earn a Vitality to recover impact energy? Or is it just specifically the card called Single Strike Energy? Same ruling. It doesn't get an energy that is a Single Strike Energy card. It gets a card called Single Strike Energy. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to be playing Pokemon over the next year or two when this set is legal, you're going to need to know these rulings. Shout out to the lovely folks over at Pokegym for providing the rulings. Those dudes are awesome. So now, ladies and gentlemen, it's over to you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know, well, which rulings you like, which you don't like. I want to know what you think about the Houndoom ruling. That is fairly contentious. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.